So I'm going to be running through strategic, tactical, operational aspects and show you some of the samples. We're mixing it up and we're refining it down. So strategic, modular objectives, developing a business plan. We know there's a real issue here. A lot of companies don't have business plans. We want you guys to develop a business plan. A business model is a better way of approaching it. And the business model is through design and systems thinking. We're looking to engage the learning outcomes and core curriculum knowledge through simulating existing and emerging modes of architectural practice. We're looking to enable critical thinking to act as catalyst for design systems and business modelling, and enhance project development through an integrated approach. So, key here is taking your project, your design studio project, and asking the MPL questions of it. The tactical, you take the project, you reframe your project, you ask a question in terms of profile. This year we're going to, instead of CV, we're going to be getting you guys to develop a LinkedIn profile. That's going to be an absolute pivotal point for you guys getting out there and developing your career. We're going to focus on the services. What are the services of the project? Who are the clients? What are you developing the project for? Is it self-indulgence or is it actually for an applicable social economic change? Both are relevant, but be specific. What are the relationships? What are the risks and the benefits? That can be both physical, financial, IP development. So we've streamlined it a bit and combined some of the CTM objects. The work process, the workforce, and the assets development. Through that, if you're asking those questions of your project, you effectively develop your value proposition. We're going to be working that through, so we'll change up the lectures. We're going to be actually approaching each one of those CTM objects and we'll be giving you a lecture on that. We've got some existing, we've got established practices, and we're also going to be focusing on, I suppose, the more traditional contract law, etc., etc. But we're going to be getting you guys some critical. How would you deploy that within your project? So it's really about you taking your projects and really trying to be critical with that. Again, the learning outcomes are that's what REAP will require of you, so we're asking you to map those learning outcomes directly to each one of those CTM objects. That will be a process that you will be working on. You've already got some background knowledge of how to do that. And from there, we'll be asking you to select those. And what really shows the level of critical thinking is the ability to understand how those elements are interconnected. So when we talk about services, the services could sit within the IP development, or actually the services provided could actually be a risk to your business model. So you've got to be able to identify those, recognise the connections and the networks between them, and begin to define that as I suppose, a mapping of learning to understand what's happening. We'll actually be using that process to understand at what level of critical thinking you'll be operating. We're using something called solo taxonomy, which is structure of observed learning outcomes. This is the backbone of all your academic assessment. So doing some research, bringing it down. What you can see here is a pre-structural, there's a point. Unistructural, how are you going to define that point? Multi-structural, are you able to describe lists? Relational, are you able to classify, sequence, relate, and apply? An extended abstract, which is where, in principle, all your project should be going, is the ability to create, theorise, and evaluate, and generalise about future potentials and that impact. So, as a good example, those mappings of learning outcomes is actually functioning at a relational level, and at relational level would effectively be at high pass rate. So operational, you'll be learning in study groups. What's key to remember, it's your studios, you're going to be working within it, it's an individual project, but we're encouraging you to collaborate. We're going to be running lectures, weeks 1 to 4, we'll be running 3 to 5 p.m. We were in the new build, but I had to sidestep and expecting that won't be built. So we'll be moving 3 to 5. It doesn't look likely. So I had to scramble last week. So we managed to get the main lecture theatre from 3 to 5 for the first 4 weeks. From week 5 onwards, in principle, the building shall be built. Workshops, we're going to be working with that, taking those lectures and asking yourselves in the groups, how does that apply? How can you deploy? Surgeries worked really well last year, and we're going to be pushing that again this year. This year, the big shift is we're going to move away from the aesthetics again, although the quality of the graphics were excellent and there's portfolio quality. But we want to be able to work rapidly and not get caught up with necessary line weights, although those are important in communication of information, but more about the content within each one of those objects within the larger CTF model. I'm going to be introducing you to Lucid Chart, which is an online free systems and design thinking modeling software, and this will allow you to rapidly work. It will also allow you to copy, paste, share, comment, and publish your work among your peers and also for assessment. So there's loads and loads of, yeah, we'll talk more about that. So again, submission, critical thinking model, plus your executive summary and LinkedIn profile, some samples for last year, some excellent work, and really push the level of the project. So this isn't just about a bolt-on module. Some of these questions that you can begin to ask about the value of the services you're providing, if you work smart, will have a direct impact and acceleration of your design projects. Again, another example. So to summarise, we're going to be giving you exposure to current and emerging trends within the AEC industry, gaining situational awareness. We're going to develop critical thinking through framing your individual projects within the MPL context, enabling decision making. We're going to develop design and systems modelling capabilities to support your projects for present and future skills relevant within the industry. Thank you. Any questions?